nowadays, right?
You know, as competitive as I am, I promise you this, I'm not going to spend hours and hours editing this.
Okay.
Not that I don't love you to bits, Craig Lindsay, but my sense is that whatever kind of rolls out of this conversation's gold, baby.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go.
So I'm going to start off by saying I'm absolutely thrilled to be hosting this special and important conversation with a member and mentor that we have great respect for, none other than Craig Lindsay. So aside from being a good friend and mentor, Craig is founder and president of Pacesetter Sales and Associates, an independent manufacturer's representative agency selling safety and industrial supplies right across Canada. From humble beginnings, in fact, we would describe it as a show of one back in 1992. He's worked hard at building and growing the firm, which now includes 17 well-trained, proud, certified sales professionals. So if you didn't have enough to do already, Craig also currently serves as chairman of the Industrial Supply Association's Industrial Manufacturers Rep Committee. Previous to this, Craig was on the board of directors for the Manufacturers Agents National Association, or MANA, for 12 years. However, I know him best for his 7+ years on the board of the CPSA, during which he so skillfully demonstrated his selling competencies by recruiting yours truly, for which he's also served as chair of our board. So without further delay, let's get started with our 8 questions with Craig Lindsay. All right, so Craig, that's well-deserved. Yeah, if I worked on anything, it was that intro.
Okay.
So over to you, man. In your thanks. In your own words, CPSA, what does the association stand for?
Yeah, well, I've always, I guess, I would say that initially when I first, met CPSA, I'd say, which was in 1992. I hate to admit that, but because that just tells you how old I am, I guess. But originally I was as you said, in your opening comments there, an independent guy that was starting a small business and didn't have much money, and had to find ways to save. And so I looked at them as a great place to have some savings for travel. I've come to know the association for a lot more than that, and since that time. The association to me is something that takes our profession, that being sales, and that's what we are as professional salespeople, and really tries to lead the people that are, have that as a career forward by providing, well, certainly travel benefits, but beyond that, most importantly, now to me is how do we, and I'll say it this way, professionalize our profession. And I think that's what I see CPSA as someone who's really trying to take our level of professionalism up a notch, or maybe more notches, in our role. I hope that makes sense. I mean, I think certainly in the past, the sales profession has, there's, and maybe rightfully so, anybody could be a salesman. You just jump right in and, you kind of, here's your catalog, here's your keys, see you later. And I think what CPSA is really working towards is moving the needle on that, quite a bit. So that's what I see.
That resonates with me. The path was different, Craig. Obviously, my path to being a director on the board and having the privilege of serving on the board was you. So we have you to blame for that. But at the same time, when I reflect on what the CPSA has meant for me, and I'm thinking about your story, how you saw it as a way to leverage, our numbers in a way that takes this thing out of, standing up a business and operating well and growing it, obviously, to what is now a great success story. The CPSA kind of pulled me in from the wilderness, the unexpected sales rep that was struggling, and then having arms wrapped around, and it's literally put a lot of food on our table over the last kind of 3 decades. It's with that debt that we're continually working off that I think has inspired me. So in terms of now in your role with your perspective, maybe give me a sense of, I guess the question is around your current impression maybe less about the CPSA right now, but just about the environment, because that picks up on a conversation we had last week. What do you see happening either with CPSA or with the environment in general?
Well, huge change going on, and it's it has happened at warp speed, I would say. I think there's always been changes, coming along in the sales profession, and as businesses move and so on, salespeople have to be able to move with it to address that. But I refer to March 13th. That happens to be the day that that I think the world for salespeople in particular dramatically changed. And I think I've described to you. I'll do it again here for purpose. That back on March 12th, we were all out making sales calls and going to see salespeople, and we do our 15, 20, 25 calls a week, whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden the pendulum swang this way. And we stopped, we were on hold, frankly, for a long time.
Whiplash inducing, like abrupt, right?
Right. And I can speak on behalf of our own salespeople. And I think in dealing with salespeople across Canada and the United States, we were all in a fog. We didn't know what was going on, and we didn't know what to do, frankly. We're always, we're moved into this new world of, we can't go see people anymore. We can't have face-to-face that we're used to. I mean, in-person face-to-face. And so what do? And we sort of, struggled around for a few months to try and figure that out. I'm not sure we're out of it yet. In terms of the fog. And I also, this is my opinion, but I don't think the needle's coming all the way back. I think it's going to end up somewhere in the middle, where, there'll be a mix of what we're doing today, like this virtual type of call, plus face-to-face, in-person face-to-face. And, when you do get that in-person face-to-face meeting, it's like gold. You better be really good at it, because you're going to get one chance. Now, on top of that, we've got to develop this whole new skill set over here that we haven't had to really use much before. And I think we're all developing that now as we speak. So anyway, that's a long-winded answer. Sorry, but I think it's, kind of just my view of things. So.
Gosh, if we're going to elaborate on anything, it's going to be just the dramatic change that the profession, industry, and the economy in general is experiencing right now.
Right.
And not to load you up with a bunch of truisms and stuff that you see in a PowerPoint slide, but there's never been a more important time for this association to stand up and help our membership address that challenge head on and get through that fog. I think the fog analogy really resonates with me, because you kind of got a sense of what's out there, but it's unclear, and it's spooky while we're working through it.
Yeah. Well, you're a boat guy, right? And if you take that boat out in the fog, you got to have some idea where you're going, right? And so you'll use a GPS system or something like that. And I think the sales world is looking for a GPS right now. Is looking for some guidance and some type of direction on what to do next. Yeah,
exactly. Deep water, good. Rocks, bad. Rocks, very bad. Expensive. So in terms of, you've been a proud card-carrying member for literally decades. Again, not giving away your age, your youthful enthusiasm. What do you think the CPA has been doing really well?
Well, CPSA, I think they do a number of things well. First of all, you don't be around for, what is it now, Sandra, 150, 45, some
167. We're like a 167-year-old startup.
Right, exactly. But you don't be around that long without doing some things right. So let's first acknowledge that CPSA has done a lot of things right over the years. Having said that, as the world changes, there's probably time for some change that has to go with it. You have to mirror what the market's doing, to try and address those needs. CPSA has always been great at communicating. They've been great at, keeping the members first in mind. I think that's always a truism with the CPSA. And I think all of those things are really good. So let's acknowledge those things and be aware that, some of those should not necessarily go away for the future, but what you offer will likely need to change or has to change given the new environment that we're in. So, I think that's good. What you've shared a little bit with me, I see a little bit of transformation towards that digitization, long word, of your business, which I think is really important. You've pivoted well, I think, maybe I should say you're beginning to pivot well to what the new environment looks like, at least, again, with what you shared with me. But I think it's really critical to stay on that path and be prepared to make the changes that you need to.
Very good. Craig, I appreciate that. A lot of work ahead, but we're inspired by our higher purpose, our mission, enriching the lives of sales professionals. Right. And that being said, I think that dovetails nicely with the next question. In terms of, again, your perspective, unaddressed opportunity. What hasn't been maybe challenged, or what's been left unaddressed from your perspective?
Well, a lot. I mean, a lot for everybody, I think, because and this wouldn't be addressed because there wasn't the great need at the time to do it. So it's now, you kind of get thrown into the fire a little bit. Now we got to, make some, we got to try and address what some of those things are. So I think, virtually selling, how do we get, much better at that? Prospecting is going to really change. How do you, I think about it this way a little bit, even within our own business. It's really easy to call the customers I already have and stay in touch with them and stay on top of that business. And that's all good. It's an important aspect too, by the way. But how do you find new business now? That's really going to change, I think, and it's really challenging. And we can email campaigns. Well, customers are getting 100 emails a day, and where does yours fit on the list? And so how do you use some of the other tools that might be available? How do you connect with people that you haven't connected with before? Either digitally or virtually or whatever it might be. And how do I do that? How do I do that new prospecting method that I need to develop? I think another thing that's could be very, very helpful through this digitization. There's a whole need out there for some greater detailed analytics of the market and the customers and what they're doing. And I can tell you as a small business, how do I get that information? I can try and do it myself, but first of all, I'm not very good at it. Secondly, I don't know necessarily if I have the time. And thirdly, there might be sources out there that could really, help. And maybe that's a place for CPSA, is to look at that whole data mining and supporting that function that salespeople and sales management will really need going forward. Anyway, that's a couple of ideas anyway. So
yeah. Couldn't agree more. The use of data. So establishing the disciplines and the competencies required to harvest the data that we're collecting on an ongoing basis. That's table stakes in terms of creating solutions, creating value for customers and clients when the nature of those relationships has changed. It's become almost, it's been pulled apart a little bit. So to your earlier point, when you have that opportunity to connect, you got to make it count, and making it count with, a finite amount of time requires going in with a hypothesis, going in with the solution, something that gives you confidence and some insight that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So data and that kind of link with digitization, I think, is hugely important.
Yeah.
Stop.
You probably have we probably have if you look at your membership, you probably have quite a vast array of what those members look like. Individuals and companies, but even within the company grouping, large and small, and my guess is, Canada is made up of a lot of small businesses, and I'll call quote small businesses, and so a lot of them maybe don't have the ability to do some of these things. So I think that there may be real opportunity there for you.
You know what? I know you're right. I truly believe that. In fact, we're about to launch a really exciting program with one partner in particular, known as Lighthouse Labs, around this whole idea of data analytics as it relates to sales leadership and sales professionals. So more news at 11 on that, but it speaks exactly to that competency and that discipline required.
Well, good news.
Okay, so in the spirit of 167-year-old startup, a lot of experimentation, a lot of opportunities to test and learn. Likely means there'll be some opportunities to tweak some things, stuff to fix. In your opinion, like if you had your druthers, what would you fix first? If you were in my shoes.
What would I fix first? Wow. Well, I think member programs are probably have to be forefront. I mean, I think again, coming back to what you do well, or what CPSA has done well, is I want certainly believe in my mind, and I think it's true, that you've always kind of tried to keep the member first and in your mind, and so as those needs change, maybe your old programs, the current programs that you've had perhaps don't meet the needs going forward. So the first thing might be to look at what that is for the members. Maybe it's member survey. I don't know how we do it, but you figure that out, right? As to what is the need there in terms of developing something for the future. But, I would say, you said it, you want to be able to experiment a little bit. You want to be able to try things. And, I read a book many, many years ago that was on this topic, and it was called, I forget the name of the book. It was, but the one thing I do remember in there was do it, fix it, try it. And, is do it first, be prepared to, get that done. And in 30 days, and you go out and try it. And then, you'll find what works and what doesn't work, and fix it and try it again. Right. And so keep that entrepreneurial spirit alive in an organization like CPSA.
Tremendous. So Craig, chances are we're going to be kind of monkeying around. We're going to be experimenting. We're going to try some things, and some stuff's going to change, which is great. It's liberating, but at the same time, your advice, like, what should we be careful about in terms of never changing?
Yeah, I've said it a couple of times that in my mind is, that member first attitude. Let's make sure that that's always the forefront. That's always the thought. Coming back to professionalizing the profession. I think CPSA has always had that as one of the key stakes in the business. I think that's really important to continue to move our industry forward. To make us, much better at what we do. And so those things I don't know that should change. They may need to tweak somewhat, but I wouldn't change them.
Very good. Okay, we're going to do a little rapid fire, I think. Okay. Just essentially get your thoughts on a couple things. Just to actually particularly around community. Okay. Community as it relates to sales professionals. Maybe get your thoughts on that.
Well, I always think of sales people as social animals for the most part, and being in touch with other people in some manner is really important. I think to the that I'll call it, for the most part, A-type personality. Not all salespeople are that, but certainly a lot of them. And I know just look at our own sales team, and I see the people that had really struggled initially because they couldn't be out seeing people and being in touch and connecting with others, and how they found new business and all of those things. They were really devastated by all of these changes. And so I think community is important for the purposes of connecting people and keeping them engaged and keeping them motivated, going forward. So I think community is very valuable in the sales world, I guess.
I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that. I think as we're kind of winding things up, Craig, probably the last question, I've posed this to you a number of times throughout our relationship. I'm going to do it again because I've always benefited greatly from whatever the response has been. Craig, based on the changes we're experiencing, kind of the state of the union, if you will, with the CPSA, our profession, the industry, the economy overall, that's a lot to kind of take in all at once. But what advice would you have for us as an association?
Well, I guess, I think I have mentioned this maybe to you before, or others at least, is that I think the CPSA has a real opportunity to be a leader in the sales world here. And, I said earlier that we were in a fog. I think we're still in a fog. And I think to some degree, the sales profession is looking for someone to help lead them out of the fog, be the GPS that gets them through this, that finds new ways to do business. And so I would say be a leader, take that position, because I don't know that anybody else will or anybody else can. You may have it, some companies may have it within their company, but there's someone that has to lead the whole group. And I really think CPSA has a chance to do that. Part two of that is remain flexible, because I'm not sure we all know the answers yet. So, you have to be able to remain flexible and be able to change and adjust as things go on. And, being flexible in a business planning process today is critical. We used to be 5-year plans. Now the 3-year plans. Heck, right now it's about a 1-month plan. What do we, it's like, let's get through the end of this, right?
It's a 15-minute plan.
Yeah, exactly. So remain flexible. There'll be, times you need to change and pivot a little bit. And so, be a leader, be flexible, I would say. Or if there's any piece of advice I could give to CPSA or anyone, that would be it right now. So.
Yeah, we've been tossing around this idea of, our obligation is to continue to build, grow a strong association on behalf of our membership. That's
right.
Going to now more than ever require that we are the learning association.
Yeah.
And part of that learning, I'm just reflecting on some notes. Do it, fix it, try it.
Yeah.
We're going to do a lot of do it, fix it, try it. And with humility and with some courage, I'm excited about our opportunity to make a positive impact on the well-being of sales professionals, members, non-members, whether you kind of know that you're going to be a sales professional, the accidental sales rep, or, right through each stage of your career to the day that they're peeling your nameplate off the executive vice president door of your office on your retirement day. There are opportunities for us to show up in a very different way that leaves our members much better off as a result of associating with like-minded, passionate individuals in our craft. Be a leader. That resonates with me, and I appreciate this. Craig, on behalf of all of our associates at the CPSA, thank you again for spending this precious time with us. I mean, this conversation inspires me, as I'm sure it does our team. And it inspires us to continue doing the work of enriching the lives of sales professionals from coast to coast to coast across this great country. In fact, I learned earlier today there's 240,000 kilometers of coastline in Canada.
Wow.
Anyways, that aside.
That's a lot of bike riding, Sandra.
That's a lot of coastline. But here's the thing. I can't thank you enough for taking this time. Providing your wisdom, your experiences, at the same time, your motivating encouragement. So again, on behalf of all of us, thanks for spending this precious time. And I wish you and your family all the very best, a safe, joyous holiday season. And looking forward to picking up where we left off in the new year.
Great. Well, you as well. Have a great holiday season, and all the best to you and your family too.
All right. Thanks, Craig.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.